from what I think was an ancient gathering place of some form. If you see the stones placed around like this, and this magnificent rock, which I saw has also quartz in it. I don't know if you can see, but it's here. You can see it's shiny. There are a bunch of them. Imagine this place was underwater like 4,000 years ago. Uh, it was submerged, and then the earth started raising because the glaciers that were on top started melting, and this was basically underwater. And there are many interesting pieces of rocks and stones of many millions years ago, because of its they're fossils of organic things that were there before the ice age about 9,000 years ago. And so everything that is under has been that has been preserved. A few things, because being 10,000 years under the ice, plus the acidity of this soil is quite high, and the cold preserve very few um, organic remains of anything. It could be bones or trees, plants of any form. Now I'm taking this road, and I show you around a little bit, and then we start the discussion on the topic. Maybe some people come in the live and they will join, and we can have a more interesting conversation about how did we get from the stone tools all the way to these smartphones. It's very strange evolution if you think of it, isn't it? It took like at least the oldest stone tool that we know about. It's 3.3 million years old, and that were the first form of stone tools that they found. And I mean, imagine finding a stone tool from the older one period, which is 3.3 million years old, and they were much more raw stone tools. They were the first stone tools, the oldest that we found, and basically they were meant for butchering, defense, and hunting as well, probably. And then from there, more other stone tools. After 1.7 million, we have like archaeological remains of things that were uh, more defined. They were shaped in a better way. Like they started more weapons for hunting, and they started more blades that they used to butcher animals and make skins also for clothing. Meanwhile, I want to show you these blueberries. Here you see the flowers are coming. This is a whole blueberry field here. And here the blueberries are coming. These are the first I see. So I'm quite excited. But going back to the stone tools, after 1.4 millions, we have at least remains in archaeology of stone tools that are more defined, are much more worked around. They are not any random stone tools as the beginning. They were much more rough, and now they are more refined. They started making prestigious things that looked like really neat, from bones and from stones. They used to make arrows, and this was about 200,000 years ago, on the Upper Paleolithic period. That was 200,000 years old to 40,000 years ago. And imagine going as a species, going from breaking the rocks and hunting animals or shaping rocks, shaping everything. Imagine the strength it took. I once participated into an experiment from Rutgers University, an American university in Kenya, that was studying how much force was the thumb using in order to create a stone tool. And in this experiment, we had sensors in each finger, and each finger was measuring the pressure that we put in order to make the stone tools. And you realize that to make the stone tools, it takes a lot of strength, and you get also a lot of damages to do it. It takes strength throughout the body, it takes balance, it takes so much more. So our bodies memories know, like when we are typing into a phone, or when we are doing any basic modern activity which is repetitive and static. Just imagine the thumb. The thumb now, we scroll like this, and we have like so many people having issues with the carpal tunnel or the ulnar nerve, and that is because we scroll and do this static movement. We end up doing this kind of lifestyle, which compared to how it was in the past, it's very, very static. We used to move, we used to activate body mass and body muscles much more all the time in order to survive. And our bodies remembers this. Our DNA knows that we've been breaking and cracking stones, that we've been basically using our whole bodies in order to survive. And movement was the most important thing we had to do as a species, because otherwise there was no survival. And the thumb example that we have now, that it just go up and down, it's a reflection of how much we change, going from cracking nuts into moving the thumb in order to survive. You can literally, in some places, you can survive just by sitting on a sofa and doing everything from your laptop. You can work from your laptop, you can order groceries from your phone, from your lap. You don't even need a laptop. And it's very interesting because our brain is meant to be structured to move. You know, I don't know if you ever observed the animals in captivity in the zoos. They are clearly stressed. They start losing their fur, and they basically have stress behaviors, and also they get sick much more often than when they live into the nature. And the same thing, it's for us. It's because we are structured to survive into nature, and the time we are totally detached from our environment, we become like an animal in captivity. There is so much difference for the nervous system when it's in nature, and it's totally relying on the environment in order to survive. We need to move and activate our brain so much more. And this also, it makes us efficient human beings when we activate ourselves more. Because when we don't activate ourselves more, that's when we start getting the so-called psychological disease, because we rely on dopamine that is synthetic, is based on what we watch passively, and is not based on a performance, on an action that stimulates electricity through our brain and body. Um, Hello, greetings from Pennsylvania. What's up from the chat? But going back to the discussion of our body is a primordial machine. It's so old. Imagine how long it took for the human body to adapt and adjust to exist in full nature. Because now we have the tarmac, we have the roads, we got used to, if we have bumps in the road, we complain. But imagine like these guys making stone tools 3 million years ago, and they were surviving in very, very harsh environments with very, very wild animals. There would have been here, I mean, it was a totally different environment 4 million years ago. But even now, if you go into some places where there are no people, there are bears, there is wolves, there is lynx, there is foxes, there is all sort of wildlife. This is because humans left a part of it untouched, but otherwise it would have not been possible. And it's basically what it is. It's always changing, and that's why when we speak of climate change, we should bear in mind like how did Earth look like, how many millions years ago. Like this place, just 10,000 years ago, was a sheet of ice, totally filled with ice. So imagine there wouldn't be life, and before that, it was water. So, and now there is life, there is tarmac roads, and we evolved as a species somehow into very harsh environments, even though it changed, because it went from a very warm environment to a very harsh. And imagine as a modern human being that instead of using the brain to breaking those stones and having to survive outside, we are sitting on our sofa and we don't really know how to survive in nature, because as modern people in the cities, you don't really learn how to survive. We barely learn how to cut woods if you have a fireplace at home. And it's a great evolution, but in some, like going from and even the messaging way, there was messaging before as well. Now we have 5G towers. Before they had towers that used to emanate smoke in order to communicate from one place to the other, and each smoke signal had a meaning. And instead of now, like we went from the telegraph, they were in, what was it, 1870, they made the telegraph, and they were communicating through vibration only. There was no voice, there was no repetition of voice. There is some chat going on, let me read. We are very fortunate to be here. Indeed, Randy. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. It's Earth, it's it's an undescribable thing, being human on Earth. If you detach yourself and observe it from from above, from an external point of view, it's an unbelievable thing to be human, be part of an evolution of a constantly changing environment. Just thinking that here was full of water, and those rocks have been submerged for millions of years, and now we have full of trees and tarmac that people build. It's impressive. It's something that is magic. It's beyond any explanation, that just deserve, like Randy said in the chat, gratitude. It's a mystery that has to be embraced, and we forgot that connection because our bodies naturally are meant to move. We've been nomads for like 98% of our existence, isn't it? And we've been moving, shifting places. But from the Holocene, which is like 10,000 years ago, when we started making metals and we started settling with agriculture, then we started settling down into communities of agricultural men, and not just nomads or hunters and gatherers or pastoralists. Those are, at least, are the main shifts that we can talk about according to the archaeological evidence that we have. But there is much more evidence to come, because we based all our knowledge on human evolution and development of ancient civilization until now, based on very, very few artifacts, compared to how big and old ancient humans are. And you look at the number of artifacts that we have available, is very little, and it doesn't really explain everything. And for this reason, we have to beat like human what, in the sense we have to still question what we are, because there's so much to discover, both underground and both by observing reality ourselves. And we basically just have to keep an open mind in terms of understanding reality, because if archaeologists used only that part of tools found, only this small part of tools found, they cannot justify a whole evolutionary process. It's a million years. Like the oldest stone tools we spoke about was found 3.3 million years ago. That's the old one times in Africa. And those stone tools were the most rough that they used to do. And then humans evolved, according to archaeological evidence, to a much more defined and more useful stone tools that could be used for more purposes, and they could adjust to reality in a smarter way, basically utilizing the environment to their benefits for smarter survival purposes. And we've been going from stone tools all the way to smartphones. It's crazy. Like if you think of it, it's we take it for granted, the way the environment changed, the way humans evolved. That is like we reached the epitome. We have reached the top of evolution, but yet we don't know what we are as a species and what reality really is. We just assume about some evolutionary things based on archaeological artifacts and studies, but we actually don't really know yet. It's like ancient remains. If you look at the little bit we looked, because there is so much stuff underground that still we have to look into. But the little we looked, we know that these people were much more connected to the nature and reality and the entire ecosystem. They were shaping it and modifying in a very smart way. Just thinking of the roads the Romans built. If you go to Italy, into places in Rome, or even some places where the Romans had part of their empire, the roads, they have a system that when the top floor breaks, then there is the lower part that is made of a calcareous rock that melts with the time with water and people going through it, and then the road would fix themselves almost to the point of turning back to flat. And right now we think that just putting tarmac is the smartest thing, but they actually had a way and they had roads, the Romans, that are still up to today, people walk on them. There is like whole architectural structures where Romans built more than 2,000 years ago, and we still walk on them. People still go and admire. And the point is, underground in some places, it's so full of archaeological remains that we will be impressed of how much we can learn. How did we actually turn these people from breaking the stones and cracking nuts? There was a point in human evolution that we used to crack nuts with what was it? The Paranthropus boisiae was a type of hominid in human evolution before habilis, that used to crack nuts with the teeth. If you look at the teeth he had, was something like this, huge, and the cranium here had developed like a crest because of the muscles of the jaw would be so big, and he basically pushed the skull in order to survive. It's an evolutionary adaptation that they had. And this doesn't occur anymore, but it's like our brain and body, they are meant for it. We we are meant to use our strength and strategize with our brain in order to survive. I never remember the name of the gland, but there is a gland that the birds use in order to orientate themselves and go with the earth magnetism. And we have it as well. I'm not sure about the name, but this gland basically help the birds to connect with the natural magnetic field of the earth, and they can orientate. Some birds, they can turn off the brain and just go following the earth natural magnetic field. And the interesting part is that we have it, and maybe we utilized it in the past as a survival strategy in order to find places, in order to find food, maybe, because there are humans that can remote view. Maybe this remote viewing, it's now like booming, and there is a lot of research about from the 50s that has come out from Stanford University. Maybe it's something that we have been doing for survival for millions or hundreds of thousands of years. I don't know. But the point is that we might have had some patterns or some capability that we don't have anymore, because we don't utilize them anymore, because we went from stone tools to smartphones, going from very active lifestyle where we utilize the entire body to survive and interact with the ecosystem actively. 24-hour survival, like from morning to provide yourself food to the evening to provide a safe place in the wilderness, because there were no houses. There were caves. They used to build huts, but they were not something like that was concrete that could sustain somebody safe 100%. Having said that, going from the stone tools to the smartphone, it's crazy. We take it for granted, like, yeah, we evolved from stone tools making to, yeah, but our body is so strong. Primordially, our DNA are so powerful that have been able to evolve through all these changes that the earth has been doing, and it's quite impressive. We are one of the oldest species on earth, unless now we find out that aliens artifacts are actually uh, more real than what we thought. There's so many birds. And if you think the birds are the only wild species left around, it's like us, humans, and the birds in most places in the world. Most wildlife, it's kind of disappearing. It's very interesting. It's like the time there was no digitalization and mass industrialization. It was more, we just ate what we needed because we just had to wake up, go and survive. But instead now we have the smartphone, and it's the way it is. Which way is the light? Here. So this has been an interesting live. I will publish this video and try to make more on topic videos soon. I will start to do podcasts and invite other human beings to join. And yeah, thank you for watching. It would be interesting if people would have their own views on smartphones and maybe share their experience as well with the thumb. I feel my thumb gets stuck when I scroll a lot. It's interesting, huh? How different problems we have as a species now compared to hundreds of thousands of years ago, and how the problem changes. How they shifted more from a physical problem to spiritual to being psychological. That's also part of going from the material stone tool part, going to the more abstract world through the internet, which was already there before. It was just a different system. Now it's like it's faster, it's more efficient, but they used to communicate with smoke towers, drums, whistling. They had all sorts of ways to communicate from one place to the other. And it's just it's just like now everything has to be fast, quicker, now. And it's more in the head. It's not like I have to wake up and go and hunt or put the seeds because something has to grow in the next season and follow the seasons. It's a much more mental exercise than an actual physical exercise that we used to do. So many birds. I don't know what bird is it. It's all black. So the main difference, I think, between the lifestyle is not just the depth of amount of communication we have now compared to before, but it's the rhythm and how static it is, because it's like modern life has a fast pace, but it's not that it requires necessarily a fast physical pace. It's more of a mental pace, pace that you have to follow to be able to survive in a modern environment. And before it was more like the stress of surviving in the wilderness, the fear of the nature, also how they saw the sun or natural events like thunders, storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, eruption. This place millions years ago had volcanoes that are now underground, and it changed. We had to adjust. We have now tarmac roads, but you can see that nature usually breaks it because it's much more powerful. I really like those plants that pop up from the tarmac. They show they don't really care if you make the road on top. Yeah, I've been talking a lot about this. It's how long I've been here, 30 minutes now, so I think soon I am closing. If you have any thoughts, ideas on these stone tools to smartphone transition, of it took 3.3 million years, the oldest stone tools that we know about that human beings made, until now to the smartphone. So 3.3 million years of history to get from the stone tools to the smartphone. It's quite a long time. I wonder what will be in 10,000 years or in another 3 million years. Because the stone tools, we went from very rough stone tools to much more perfectly shaped stone tools. So with the smartphone, what could happen? You know, we went from the telegraph to the phone with the audio to the smartphone and the phone, and now I don't know. It's probably gonna be interesting. What I think it could change totally evolution from this standpoint is the Boogosphere, because we think we have the highest technology known as humans. But this Boogosphere that was found in Colombia, there is the video of it. You can Google it, Buga, and it's a sphere that could sustain itself with electrostaticism, basically on the air. And they found some resin in it, and so that's why they were able some resin that kept some cable structures inside together, and that's why they were capable of dating. So imagine if now we have the smartphones. That was the point. And before they were capable, 12,000 years ago instead, we find out that they were capable of doing technologies such as the Boogosphere that can float on air without any electricity or any power for 12,000 years, then maybe we will learn something very interesting about our past that is going to surprise all of us, and hopefully is going to remind us who we are as a species, and we can fuse a little bit the old idea of cracking the stones we used to do 3 million years ago with the technology we have now, and make a little bit of more sense to what it is of our existence as a species in the universe. So I have arrived to my destination. Human what? Fellows, human and aliens, if any. Was a pleasure discussing this topic, and we will do more talks next time, and I will have each live one topic for a while, and then I will also start some podcasts and some traveling in some archaeological sites. But for now, thanks again, and stay human. Human what? All the best. Have a great day from the forest and from the tree. And